The Isanti County John Doe, identified as Donald Rhindahl. Donald was just 22 in 1970, living a bumpy life with a roommate in New Brighton, Minnesota. He had become involved in drugs, and drug charges came along also. He told his family and friends he planned to make a move away from it all to California. So when he was missing from Minnesota, no one really thought anything of it. One of the reference articles for this story was interesting, in that it mentioned that in 1970s, adult disappearances were not considered by the police at the time. And that's something I've complained about in many of the stories I've covered on this channel, but I've never seen it voiced before. Too often, police wouldn't take a report when a family member begged, simply saying adults have a right to disappear. It was this practice in most jurisdictions that led to a lot of these unsolved Jane and John Does. But no matter what the reason, there doesn't seem to be a time when Donald's family tried to report him missing. The years simply wound on. After all, he voiced his desire to move on, and even if someone knew where to report him, if the report would have been filed or even accepted. Not to mention, at the time, the FBI was already actively trying to seek Donald. So it seemed quite possible to those who knew him that he was simply in hiding. It would take over a decade before Donald was found, 700 miles away from where he went missing, buried on a property in Isanti County, Minnesota, near the highway in 2003. The property owner was excavating the property, and he found the remains buried 3 feet deep. This is always disturbing additionally, because it shows just how easy it would be not to find somebody. It was lucky Donald was found. However, his luck wouldn't hold out, and no one knew whose bones they were. It was not until January of 2022 that DNA gave Donald his name back. The sheriff's office eventually was able to follow the DNA tree to 2 of Donald's siblings, who went on to share the story of their missing brother. The saddest part of this, in my opinion, is that the guy was just 22, and he may have changed it around. So it seems extremely unfair that he was never given the chance. Most people get a chance to change. It's just sad. The police were clear that given the details, it appears Donald met with foul play. There's no indication of the cause of death. They also believe there are people still alive that may know what happened to Donald, and they ask that that person or persons come forward. The Isanti sheriff asks that anyone with information call. I've also included Crime Stoppers, and that number can be called anonymously. Donald Rhindahl was missing for 51 years and unidentified for 18. He was found 700 miles away from where he went missing. The Houston John and Jane Doe, identified as Harold Dean Clouse and Tina Clouse. In 1980, 21-year-old Harold Dean Clouse and his 17-year-old wife Tina were married and living in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, with their young 1-year-old daughter named Holly. It was at this time they decided to move to Texas so that Dean could make a living as a carpenter. The young family headed out to the future of promise, and they just seemed to disappear. His worried family eventually received a call that same year from a group of women who said that they had Dean's car. They offered to deliver it back to the family for a price, $1,000. When the women arrived, they were dressed in some sort of religious robes, and they told Dean's family that the couple and their child had joined a religious cult and would never be heard from again, and they weren't. But they also weren't in any sort of a cult. Instead, unbeknownst to the family, the couple was found in January of 1981 in Texas, having been buried in a shallow grave just 2 months before. Dean had been beaten and bound, gagged, while Tina was strangled. The couple was also found near another body, that of a teen named Michelle Angela Garvey. Michelle was identified in 2014 thanks to a tip that came into the online forum Web Sleuths. Their location has been referred to as being part of the Texas killing fields. 30 people were found buried within the same general area. In 2021, an Indianapolis-based media company named Audio Chuck funded the genetic research for this case, working with a company named Identity Finders. This went faster than normal, and they quickly identified Dean within 10 days of starting to build his tree. His family quickly asked about his wife, and with that, the identity of the female Jane Doe found with him was also identified. Dean's mother told them that she saw someone on the freeway once who passed her and looked like her son. She desperately wanted to believe he was out there alive, and she was always looking for him, telling herself that he's out there somewhere, and hoping that he would ring her bell one day and say, "Hey, Mom." These stories always break my heart a little bit, because so many times they really want to believe they're still alive out there. And I can't imagine living with that is easy, the not knowing. As sad as this story is, there's a possibility there could be something good. Holly Marie Clouse may still be alive. If she is, she would be a 41-year-old woman. They are concentrating on trying to find Holly. Given her young age, it's entirely possible somebody raised her. There's no question that she was not found in those graves. The family and authorities desperately want people to come forward on this. The woman that delivered the car likely knew the owner wasn't coming back, and essentially selling the car back to his family also created a false story about why the couple was missing. It's in part why they were able to keep this ruse up for so long. Their direct involvement was likely why the couple was never reported missing, which only has the purpose of hiding what happened to the Clouse family. So likely they were in some way involved. Anyone with any information, please call the number on your screen. Harold Dean Clouse and Tina Clouse went unidentified for 41 years. Holly Clouse's age seems to differ a little by article, but she would be around 41 or 42 years old today. Anyone who thinks they may be Holly or know where she is should also contact that number. It's a rare glimmer of light in a dark story. I will leave you with Dean's sister's words. "I want to know who did this, who killed them and why. I want to find Holly. I need to know if my niece had a good life, if she was abused, if she's okay." That's it for today. Thanks, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other.